a sticking point in the negotiations?
Oh no, that was never a sticking point. It's actually a fascinating point, and I think yes, the youth teams should reflect again, the mixture of your cultures. It should reflect what's going on in this country, and there's so much going on, and that's why I think Claudia Reyna's role is very, very important, to find a path, with us together, how those teams should play and how they, should be put together. I mean, there's so much influence coming from the Latin environment over the last 15, 20 years that also has to be reflected in the U.S. national team. And you have so many kids with dual citizenship, Mexican or other, Central American countries and American. So that will be always a topic to discuss. Obviously, you won't have a copy, in your under 20 or under 17 of the men's national team because, players are different. Players have all different characteristics. So every coach needs to find his own little path of how to put things together. But overall, it should be kind of a broader understanding of how also the youth teams should play, and this will be one of the main topics going forward. What was started from U.S. soccer with the youth academies, it will expand. It will get bigger and bigger. All these discussions are important and are also important for you media to have your say in it, and because the people out there, and I talk to a lot of youth coaches, my boys playing youth soccer, my girl as well, and they all wait for kind of information. They are very knowledgeable on the youth level in this country, but they also, ask those same questions. So I think there's a huge opportunity to discuss things and to bring, different people in and hopefully define more and more how, the style should look like.
Over here on your left, all the way over.
There you go.
When you say that the style of play should reflect the mentality of the country, understanding you said you still have some homework to do on this, people you want to talk to. But today, on August 1st, how would you describe the mentality of this country?
Whoa.
All yours. He was on with Boehner and Reed last night, so I'm not sure what else was going on.
Well, studying your culture and obviously having an American wife, and American kids mainly, it's right now my understanding is a little bit that you don't like to react to what other people do. I think this is maybe a starting point. I think America never really waits and sees, and leaves it up to other people to decide what is next. I think America always likes to decide on its own what is next. So this guides maybe towards more a proactive style of play where you would like maybe to impose a little bit the game on your opponents instead of sitting back and wait what your opponent is doing and react to it. Obviously, this depends also on your opponents. If you play Brazil or Argentina, you might play differently than you play maybe a country in CONCACAF. But it is a starting point. If you say, we want to kind of start to keep possession, we want to start to dictate the pace of the game, we want to kind of challenge our players to improve technically in order to keep the ball. So all those components you have to build into your training sessions. You have to build it into a curriculum for the youngsters too, because the earlier they start with that type of work, the better it is. Barcelona was not born in the last couple of years. It was born basically the style of play now in the early 90s through Johan Cruyff. That took 20 years to that moment today that we see and all admire, but just to take an example. So I'm really curious to hear all the different opinions out there, but I think, we are kind of put in a driver's seat, especially what CONCACAF is related, and it depends a lot on the experience of the players that they make overseas, when they move overseas, hopefully at the right age, going overseas. So we will define that in bullet points, step by step, and also communicate it then.
Jürgen.
One last question, and then we'll go in the back. Thank you.
Eben Novy-Williams, Bloomberg News. Not asking you for a prediction, but would love to hear your expectations for the team over the next few years. Is this American team good enough to compete for a final in the World Cup in 3 years? And what do you anticipate to be the biggest hurdle that you have as a coach of this team?
Expectations. I mean, expectations are always based on what was built the last 10, 15 years. You know, when you coach Germany, the expectations are being in the final. Other than the final, country is not happy. Now, I think expectations here certainly are different because how the game grew in the last 10, 20 years. You know, I think a quarterfinal is already huge. You know, I think going through the group stage is really, really important. And then you go into the knockout stage where anything is possible, you know. But obviously you want to improve. You want to get better. You want to, you know, be better than the last World Cup and the World Cup before. But, you know, you can't promise anything because once you're in a knockout stage, I mean, anything can happen. I think there are a lot of different challenges ahead of us, you know, especially on a foundation level. And the foundation is youth, you know, how they should be trained, how often they should train, how much time they should spend with the ball, how they should develop their talent, you know, and it all feeds into into Claudio's new role here. But this is really important to be addressed from the beginning on, because I think this is what is still missing, really missing compared to the leading soccer nations around the world, the first 10, 12 nations around the world, is the amount of time kids play the game, you know. And if you have a kid that plays in Mexico 20 hours a week, you know, maybe 4 hours organized soccer, but 16 hours unorganized soccer, just banging the ball around in the neighborhood. But if he gets up to 20 hours, doesn't matter how he plays it, with his dad or with his buddies in the street, this will show later on with his technical abilities, with his passing, with his instinct on the field and all those things. And I think that's certainly an area where a lot of work is ahead of us, because if you look at the MLS, you know, did major steps forward. It's come a long way, but it's still a very, very hectic, kind of a little bit style from the college system played game, which, you know, slowly we have to kind of get it more on a technical level. We have to get it on a more comfortable level with the ball, and so they're all developmental issues. I think, you know, they're pro and cons, and it's come a long way, but we have quite a way to go still to break into those top 10 in the world. I think we need to be realistic that we are not belonging there right now. Or not yet.
Great. Thank you, Jürgen. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, everyone. We'll now move Jürgen to the back, or to the front of the store, actually, for mix zone. So the cameras that are not doing one-on-ones, please move back there and be prepared. We'll bring them over in a couple minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you. Yeah.